Welcome, everybody, to the Creature Cast, the official Console Creatures podcast. My name is David Petrangelo, and I am one of your hosts for this journey into all things Game of the Year of 2022. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're diving in. It's the end of the year. All the cool kids are doing it. We may not be one of them, but we're going to try and join the table anyway. I am joined by, of course, Bobby this week. Bobby, how are you? Steve, Steve, you gonna follow that up? Steve,
I got nothing. I got nothing to follow that up with. I am just very tired. I'm ready to close out the year, and I'm ready to do it with you guys.
That's right. But we are not just a trio this time. Court and Matt are here from Carpool Gaming. Guys, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dave? Steve and
Bobby?
Bobby?
Please no. He said carpal, like pain in your hands. Not carpal.
I would just like to say apple crumble.
Apple crumble's good too.
Right?
Apple crumble is very good. Blueberry and pumpkin. Those are like the three S tiers.
I think we should scrap Goaty and just talk about the best pies, and then I think that's just what we have. That's how we get to the cool kids table.
Now, as a Canadian, and we're all Canadian, but when people always say, "Oh, like the pecan pie," I'm like, "Well, that's pretty much a butter tart." And like my American
trash here.
Yep.
It's not that
How
good.
dare you?
Hold on. I think a pecan pie is a little overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
overwhelmingly bad.
Mm-hmm.
But a butter tart is phenomenal.
Just
a
terrible.
butter tart is great.
I would rather eat cardboard than eat pecan pie.
Oh man,
really?
It depends. If we have some like Cool Whip or something to help with the taste,
pecan,
then
by the way, it's not pecan.
Maybe.
Can we settle this right now? It's pecan.
Yeah, it's pecan.
Is it actually?
Well, I don't care.
It's pecan.
That's a nice, cool story.
I just want to send in a ballot for lemon meringue, one of my favorites.
Yep.
Always
garbage.
Lime pie is
garbage.
good
That's what we.
Are you kidding me?
Garbage.
Oh, buddy! Wow, Court.
We're gonna be here all night if we do this.
It's awesome to be here, guys. Thanks for having us.
Guys, that was fun. So it's pecan, and we'll see you guys in 2023.
Peace.
I will say there is apple or peach or whatever. There's crumble, and then there's crisp. Is it the same thing?
I think so.
Because they're both delicious in my opinion.
Has to be, right?
Well, I'll
as
have
long
to
as
go.
there's no pecans in it, I'll take both.
Have you guys been to the Big Apple?
Apple.
Apple.
No, the Big Apple. Have you been?
Oh,
to the Big
yeah.
Apple? Yeah.
Like the large pie?
They have like this thing called apple bread that is my daughter's absolute favorite. And yeah, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, I posted these French toast muffins that I made, and she wants me to put apples in them. And I swear it's just gonna be apple bread. Like I'm just gonna be making apple bread. And
That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
that sounds
totally
really
fine.
Mm.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
but
she knows what she's talking about.
What time does Cinnabon close? Because now all of this talk, now I just want Cinnabons because this is the direction that I've now gone in.
I love that.
Just go to just go to your grocery store and get some ready-made Pillsbury. Those things are as good as Cinnabon.
They are as good. That's a good point.
Really?
Yeah,
They're surprisingly good. Yeah. They should be trash. They should be Bobby's version of pecan pie, but they're actually pretty good. Yeah.
There's no correlation between the two. Cinnamon buns are like a top tier, like royal dessert.
Big time.
And you have pecans where are just garbage. I wouldn't even give pecans to a prisoner. I would just throw them in the gut. I would use them as solder, like just sawdust. Just glue things together with it.
I think.
Did a pecan hurt
pie.
him? Did a pecan hurt him when he was young? It sounds like
actually,
there's some drama.
I will. I will
possible.
say this: my girlfriend makes really good cinnamon dust covered pecans, but that's it. I will not touch them otherwise.
Oh yeah,
You know what?
Though.
Okay, hold on.
I know the real reason here.
That sounds good.
It does
Because
sound
I'm a
good.
cashew guy. Cashews are king.
Cashews are good.
I think it's because of the little known fact that Ken Levine actually created pecan pie, so that explains why Bobby feels the way that he does.
That's very true.
BioShock in space is the pecan pie of BioShock. And what I meant is Judas just looks like BioShock in space, so that's what I'm saying.
As we know.
So Dave,
not enough.
I apologize.
I still want to play it.
The show is derailed.
No,
completely.
it's right where it needs to be.
This is where the end of the year has led us to.
Yep.
This talk.
A slight loss of sanity and only enveloped by the pie that surrounds us. So that's kind of
So
where we're at.
are we gonna have to do
Like
it
it.
again? Or we're gonna have to all go get a drink so we can all open up? No, I'm just
Yeah.
I have a drink right now, so whoever's
So
drinking,
he's already ahead.
was that a neutral?
that is a White Claw iced tea.
Hey, love it.
Some malt
Iced
liquor.
tea.
The best
Nice.
flavor out there.
Nice.
Sponsor us, White Claw.
Please.
White Claw. Rawr.
Hey,
See, that'll
Chick-fil-A,
work.
if you're listening.
I won't get a tattoo like
Sponsored
Brock
this
did,
show.
but I'll drink your drink on camera all day.
No problem. Just IV. Just
Ivy. Nothing bad could
get it
happen.
in you.
Why?
Nothing bad could happen.
No, absolutely not.
bad.
Nothing
I'm a
wrong.
doctor. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we will. I don't know if we're going to decide what the best pie, crumble, or crisp is, but we're going to try to get down to what will be the game of the year for our group and for Console Creatures. But we're going to first start to help us sort of narrow down our list. Is we're going to go through our personal top threes, and then we're going to go through a larger list and sort of work through it as we go. So. I'm just going to go by what our document says, and the first person at the on the top of that list is Mr. Court. Sir,
So-
do you have a personal top three you would like to share with the group, or would you like to share a top three pie, crumble, or crisp?
Well, I will share my top, but I did look it up, and I have the reason the difference between a crisp and a crumble, and I did not know this. So
Okay.
a crisp, but unlike the crisp, the crumble topping rarely includes oats. So a crisp has oats, and a crumble does not have oats in the topping.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
There's
Okay.
your
More you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
better with
alright.
oats then.
I needed
Yep,
to know that.
oats
I
are-
agree.
oats are
It's better
Yeah,
with
I
oats.
agree with
Yeah,
Bobby here.
That's good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it. Yeah.
Team Bobby.
Thank you.
Only
Thank
on
you.
this one, though. Only on this
Yes,
one.
no, seriously.
That's
The rest of his takes
terrible.
are just trash.
All right, Corey, let's start with you, man. Let's run through a three. What tickled your fancy in 2022?
So, in no particular order, MLB The Show 22. I've never been so addicted to a game, and I'm in shock. Like I like sports games. I play them. I'm usually an NHL fan. I'm playing NHL right now. But MLB The Show, I usually play for a bit, and I walk away. For the very first time, I played Diamond Dynasty. It's a mode inside the game, and I don't know what it is. Maybe brought out the inner child. You get to collect baseball cards, and those baseball cards become your players on the field. And that's how,
Okay,
and you have
right.
to do certain things to unlock these baseball cards, but there's no gotcha mechanics to make you pay money, unlike
Oh,
NHL
unlike
or-
NHL and FIFA.
yeah,
and,
yeah, which is
yeah.
absolutely terrible. But this one, like the very first week, you got to get Carlos Delgado, so it was tickling all my growing up watching the Blue Jays type stuff, and I just
Nice.
got so into this game that I ended up getting carpal tunnel in my arm. I'm not
Were
even
you
kidding.
throwing the
Up again.
controller? Because you just
No,
have to press a
so-
button.
It's one button, but because of the timing, according to my physiotherapist, because I go for other things, he was like, "What did you do to your arm?" Because it was like hurting so much. And he's like, "I'm like, well, I play this game," and he's like, "It's because it's timing, right? It's the baseball, so so it flinches all your muscles here. Like when you're just playing a game, you're relaxed, but when you're playing a game that you're having to pick the time, even doing this hurts right now. It actually will
Interesting.
hurt your muscles." So he explained to me, he was like, "You may like this game, but you actually need to stop playing." I had to stop playing the game. I played
It
I
wasn't
played it so
because
much.
of the injury though. It was because you were just bad at it. I heard.
Yeah, that
Hence,
too.
hence
That's what Matt said.
our group name, Carpool Gaming.
Carpool Gaming.
So
Carpool games.
I put over 400 hours into that game this year.
Holy Toledo, Texas. That's crazy.
I
No
played it
way.
on the Switch, I played it on the PlayStation, and I played it on the Xbox. I played this game because that was the other great thing. Cross save, cross platform. So no matter where you played. Thank you to our friends over at Sony and Xbox for giving me a code on both consoles so that I was able to get all the my team started off with all the packs and all that, and then PlayStation also had a Nintendo code, so I used that as well, and it was just like
But
kind of had an ultimate team.
That's
right off
cool
the
that it
bat.
has that feature though, because that's not always that simple and that easy and even possible. So that's huge. That's
And
great.
it's a Sony franchise, and it was that easy. So that is a shocker too. Not gonna lie.
So it needs to be in the top group just for that reason.
Well, for this year, I decided I was just gonna pick games that I really liked. The other two are huge games of the year. One is a remake, and I don't care. It's The Last of Us, Part One. It
Great.
the last couple times I played that game, I didn't have a child yet. Having a daughter playing that game absolutely destroyed me. It was a very emotional journey. It did a lot. The subtle, not so subtle actually, facial expression changes that they did with the new animations, I still say made this game a million times better. And then anybody who's like, "Oh, it's just a remake," I say, "No, you have to go back to play it." Certain scenes just became so much more impactful. Not to give away any story because not everybody's played it, but there's a scene on top of looking over to Boston Commons, and they're looking at the Capitol building, and Joel
Mm-hmm.
looks at Ellie. No words are said. Ellie says something, Joel looks at her, and so impactful. And I went back and looked at YouTube videos of the PS4 version and the upgraded version at the time, and you don't get that. You don't get the facial expressions of Joel. You don't get that glimmer in his eye. You don't get any of that. And then I looked at the scenes with David, and Ellie, and same thing. Like that's unbelievable. Like I'm sitting there scared for her, knowing what's about to happen, and I'm still scared for her. And so this was the first time I've ever played a video game where I had to stop playing and I couldn't play again till I hugged my daughter because it was
Damn.
just too much for me. And
Damn, man,
it,
that's crazy.
it's a lot. So
Wow.
it meant a lot to me, this game, and I don't think it's coming out on PC, and I don't know if I can play it again because I don't want to taint that experience that I just had with it, where I was just like, wow. I walked away after playing The Last of Us remake saying that's the best video game I've ever played,
Mm.
bar none. Best experience I've ever had with a video game. It took me on a roller coaster, and I just loved every minute of it. And then the last one happens to be another PlayStation exclusive, and it just unfortunately just works out that way, and that's God of War. And for all kind of the same reasons I just mentioned, like this is a game that, you know, it's a 2018 game that's on a PlayStation 5. It's still the same game. It looks better, but it's still, they didn't reinvent the wheel with this. But what they did do is they developed the characters more than I ever expected. The shock from
Mhm.
2018 God of War and what Kratos became was huge. But the development they did with not just Kratos or Atreus, but with every character that's in this game blew my mind. And also as a parent, it hits home the struggle that Kratos had with Atreus and Atreus maturity. That's literally what's happening in front of us. He's becoming a man, a grown up, and he's dealing with all his emotions. And Kratos has to deal with his emotions and the decisions they make. And it's so impactful, and it's a lot like parenting. So there was a lot of messaging that I got throughout the game that really stuck with me, and it was once again first God of War game that I've ever cried. So it was a lot. Like there's scenes in that, and I know Matt and I used it as a thumbnail when no one knew what it was, but I just had a scene of Kratos hugging Atreus. Everybody was just like whatever. But I know Steve messaged was like, "Ooh, nice thumbnail," because that part in that game is just like whoa. And then people
Yes.
started putting the picture of Kratos with a bear behind it, and I'm not even going to say, I'm just going to say the bear behind it,
Yeah.
but people
Yeah.
not realizing how impactful that scene is as well.
I literally got to that scene today. I got to that scene
Amazing.
today. I just
Unreal.
rolled credits on this game. Well, quote unquote credits on this game today. I was like, I got it. I know I'm near the end. Everyone's told me, and all the stuff you've been saying is exact. I was thinking of stuff like that as I'm playing it, and I don't even have children. I don't have a kid that's growing up or anywhere close to that age or a kid at all. And it's just like I'm sitting there going like, oh, my friends that are playing this or other people I know that are playing this that do have kids or, if my parents were gamers and this came out sort of thing and they played, like it would hit them differently than it would hit me, but it's still impactful on someone who doesn't have a family and doesn't have kids. And I think that's saying something, man. I think that's an accomplishment in itself.
I 100% agree. The writing in this game was bar none because, and that's the funny part. It wasn't like they could give us that shock of catching the Leviathan axe again. You can't do that again, right? They already
Yeah.
did something that was great. And I know I was lucky enough to be having conversations with Bobby, Steve, and Matt during the review process. Like right before Bobby was writing his review, I was talking to him, and it was we're all trying to grasp what we just played. It was like, is that the best game I played in a lot? Like or is it just the same thing and I'm just not understanding? But then I started getting into the story aspect, and I did have issues with the pacing in the middle, but that was at the time when I was there.
Mhm.
And then after that part in the middle happens and I know what it led to, I was like, well done. Like
Right.
they
Well
brought you
played.
on a journey. Yeah, they brought you on a journey, and um all I want is more of
Right.
that. Just the story. I just want more of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hell of an accomplishment. We'll definitely be continue talking about it. Matt, your turn, man. You're up. Batter's up.
All right. So I'm going to talk about 3 games, obviously, but like we actually just recorded our Carpool Gaming game of the year a couple days ago. So I'm going to talk about my game of the year, but the other 2 I'm going to swap out a little bit just for 2 games that I want to highlight that were special to me this year.
Nice.
And one of which was Digimon Survive. Talk about a game that came out a game that I was looking forward to for literal years that kept getting delayed and pushed out for a series that has been near and dear to my heart for quite a long time. And, the more I heard about it, it's a strategy RPG, but it's also a visual novel. And I'm kind of like, okay, all right, I'm in. This is sounding more and more Matt the more I hear about it. And then it got to a point where the reviews start to come out. I'm like, oh wait, is this gonna be good? Is this gonna be good? Because of all these delays. To take one of my favorite franchises and basically take what was the season 1 of the anime and flip it on its head in a really dark and weird way. Like, there are characters in this game who will not survive the way through. There are Digimon in this game that will not survive the way through. There are multiple story paths through it depending on what you do. The Digivolutions change depending on your choices. For them to take a franchise that's had some pretty great games over the last few years, but it's been dormant for a little while, and go and what was very obviously a massive passion project for the team, to make it into a VN, to make it into a strategy Fire Emblem like battler. I loved it. I had an incredible time with it, had a lot of fun, and I can't wait. Like, I hope we get more weird stuff in this universe because I adore it. So yeah, Digimon Survive is definitely one of them. It's just a game that I want to shout out because the other games we're going to get into on the list anyway. And then the next of which is Marvel's Midnight Suns. Not done it yet, having an absolute blast with it. Once again, for them to take everything Marvel, for them to take a card battling RPG and mix it with Firaxis. I'm loving this game. The battling is so satisfying, especially when you get to like almost like into the breach like levels of being like, okay, if I do this, and like kind of planning out like your series of moves throughout your turn just gets so satisfying when everything goes right. And when everything goes wrong, you're like, I see what I did. I see what I should have done. I see what I did. I see what I should have done though.
Oh, that's into the breach to a T.
Exactly, right? And it's like, it just nails that. And it's so much fun. And even just like the Abbey, I think is the perfect size in terms of, exploring and running around. The character conversations and the story so far has been really great. I love how much everything can change. And I can't wait to keep going with it. Like, give me Yuri Lowenthal Spider-Man and I'm there like day one. And he just, again, continues to crush it in this role. I'm having a blast with the game. I'm playing it on Steam Deck. It's not advisable to play it there, honestly, until they completely figure it out. But they've been honest about it. They said it's not optimized. So again, I went into it knowing what I was getting myself into. But Marvel's Midnight Suns is a pleasant surprise, especially given that like there was all this talk leading into like our Carpool Gaming Fantasy Critic. And I got counterpicked for it. And I was like, nah, I trust me. And then I felt vindicated. So I'm I'm having a blast with it. I love it. And my game of the year is Citizen Sleeper. And I know it's on the list, so we're going to talk about it. But this game hit me at a time when I really needed it. It was a time when, my wife and I were separated for about a month because she had to go back home. And it's the longest we've been apart from each other since we got together. And I was just on Game Pass. I was looking. I tried to jump into Nobody Saves the World. That didn't click. I tried to jump into a multitude of other games. Then I came across Citizen Sleeper. And I was like, you know what? And I lost an entire weekend to that game. Like it sucked me in and it did not let go for this like lonely, like desolate, but also hopeful story of this android on a ship just trying to survive. Everything that they do with it. And I'm not usually one to like, I'll roll credits in a game and I'm usually done. I'm not one to go for the platinum most often. I'm not one that tries to 100% stuff. I enjoy my time with the game and I move on. I needed to see what was around every corner in this game. I had to find out where certain story paths were going to go, how different characters can resolve. There were multiple opportunities that I could have ended the game like for good and kept going, being like, no, I don't think this is the resolution I want for my version of this character. I was completely sucked in. I absolutely loved it. And it was a time when I really needed that kind of space to just lose myself in. And Citizen Sleeper was that game for me this year, amongst I would argue, a pretty standout, incredible year across gaming.
Mhm.
You know, like Court was talking about, Ragnarok is up there, The Last of Us is up there, Citizen Sleeper there for me. The more that I thought about it, was just a game that keeps coming back to me every day. And I'm waiting to hop into the DLC at a time where I can just sit there and just rip through it, because they have added even more to the game. But yeah, Citizen Sleeper is my game of the year, and I'm absolutely in love with it. And more people need to check it out on Game Pass.
That's Bobby said that a couple times, that it's literally a sleeper hit. Like, it's just like, it's one of those games that it's very easy to just scroll by, whether it's from purchase or whether it's on Game Pass. And it's definitely one that I installed but never hit play on. It's literally sitting on my PC Game Pass list, just sitting there, right? And all right, okay, all right. Add another one to the list. All right.
Yeah. You like Disco Elysium? This is like literally its cousin. It's such a similar game.
Sweet.
I love it.
This fits into that like same camp of like Disco Elysium, Pentiment, Citizen Sleeper. I'd kind of like, I feel like they're all cousins. They all live, you know, in the same city, just, you know, streets apart. But they're all fantastic.
It's yeah, if you can get lost in those types of games, I mean, that's cool. That's amazing. Bobby, you're up next on this list here.
Okay, so let's start with the most obvious one. It's going to be My Peppa Pig, which I know Court knows all about.
Buddy, I love that game. And there's a new one
greatest-
coming out. Adventure World's coming out. It's coming out in March. Oh, buddy.
Oh,
Ooh, is it
geez,
an
you got
open
the-
world?
it's- I don't know any of
Well,
this.
no. It's so the thing I love about Peppa Pig is how it's exactly
There
like
we
the
go.
cartoon. It's like the exact same.
You got me there. Ugh, I got nothing.
I actually like.
Well,
the game.
that's your whole list. Next, no.
That was my
Bobby's
whole
time
list.
is
I've
cut.
been consumed by my Peppa Pig since August.
Have
But
you
no,
guys seen
the
the
re-
clip from that show when she gets on the phone call and she calls a friend asking if she knows how to whistle?
No.
No.
Please look that up after. It is entirely worth this entire conversation.
Okay.
Really?
All right.
Okay.
Drop it in.
All right.
Drop
It's hilarious.
It in, drop it in, Dave. Just edit it in.
Can I ring Susie Sheep instead?
Okay, Peppa. Hello, Mrs. Pig. Hello, Mrs. Sheep. Can Peppa talk to Susie, please?
Hello, Susie.
Hello, Peppa. What are you doing?
I'm learning to whistle, but I can't do it yet.
That sounds hard.
It's impossible. Can you whistle, Susie?
No.
Oh, good. I mean, that's sad if you can't whistle, but good because I can't whistle.
What's whistling anyway?
You put your lips together and blow.
Like this? Hello, Peppa?
For your 1,000 achievement points, it's only 4 hours,
Oh,
I'm not
you
that
had me
kind of
there.
person.
and it's not. And honestly, like if you got a niece or nephew, play it with them in the 4. It's done. Oh, okay. Well, I know Steve hates kids.
Steve does, but he's just like, nah, I don't want to. Just do it myself.
But yes, it's only.
I'm not
4
waiting for
hours.
them.
You can actually do it in probably 2. I played it for 4 hours with my daughter, and it was all popped, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is okay.
All right.
She was on the
Okay.
tablet the entire time, but I was just playing it myself.
My daughter's
Yeah.
actually surprising enough. She's only 6, but she's becoming a pretty good gamer. It's pretty
Nice.
scary. She's playing
You've
her.
done a
Sonic
good job so far,
Frontiers.
then, sir.
She was playing Mario Odyssey earlier today. We were
so-
playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge for lunch the other day. We're pretty far in it. We're almost done it. She's loving that game.
Nice.
So, would it shock you guys to know that I've already played my friend Peppa Pig? Got all the achievements. I don't remember playing this.
My God.
I
need
think
to
you
check this
played it,
out.
Steve, because I played it and I was like, you got to go play
I
this
think
game.
so.
Was this like a COVID fever dream that you don't even remember? Were you sick with it this
I
year?
was,
Is that why?
and it very well could have been. But proud to say, I beat it in 1 hour.
See?
Whoa.
Speed run.
Hey, you got to put that up on. Yeah, you got to put that up on the speed
Yeah.
run things, man.
I will
Pro
say this,
gamer.
my daughter was the first person in North America to get the 1,000 achievement score on that game.
Oh, okay.
jeez.
Yeah,
I got back
like
off now.
because you can go on True Achievements to see
Yeah.
it. And we were well, I had a review copy, and my daughter, and everybody else in the UK. The company that makes it, Outright Games, is a UK company, so there wasn't many of us in here in North America. So when she got it, I'm like, I have to go check. So I showed her, and she's like, she didn't care, and I'm like, I got a tear. You're the first. Like, way to go, honey.
She's so proud. Proud
Yeah.
dad.
She was second in the world to get the 1,000 achievement score. I was like,
Oh my god. Steve
I was first. Yeah.
Did it in an hour. Did she do it in an hour?
No.
Call yourself a gamer, kid.
Well, until she beats Elden Ring as a prisoner, she's not a gamer. I'm sorry. But that's her next goal. Let's give her that. Let's have her stream Elden Ring
sick,
as a
Bobby.
prisoner, and just straight on all your. Yeah, you know what? Let's start with prisoner, and then we're not going to go into the builds because there's so many things you could do after.
Right.
All right. So the first game on my list.
We haven't even got
Oh,
there.
yeah, right.
Not my Peppa Pig. It is Neon White, and anyone who hasn't played it yet, there's something wrong with you because it is one of the best games I've played, not just this year, the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so now I know when people ask like, "What's wrong with you?" Now I know where to start. I can
You
say
didn't
I
play
haven't
Neon
played
White.
Neon White.
There's
Okay.
something wrong with you because
Okay, at least now I know.
Yeah, it's by Annapurna Games and Ben Esposito, and basically it's just a speed run. It's a speed run game where you play as an assassin in heaven, which makes no sense because obviously there's no violence in heaven, but you're basically speed running through different levels of heaven.
hold on.
demons.
That was your thing. Like, there's no violence in heaven.
There's no violence in heaven. There's tears in heaven,
There's
Everybody
no,
knows
Tears in
assassins aren't
heaven.
real.
but there's no violence.
he's like, there's definitely a heaven, but there's no violence there.
No, that's a bridge too far, Court. Come on.
Come on.
I know, but I didn't make the game. I just played it. This is what I was given. And
Bobby's
basically, you get soul cards every so often. So every level, you're trying to get through the level as fast as you can while collecting soul cards that'll give you basically different weapons that also double as secondary abilities. So if you have a gun, it might shoot at the enemy, but it also might give you a double jump. So you have to pick which one would be better for the path. So you have to critical line to the end as fast as you can while trying to collect medals. And as the story unfolds, it's like a big mystery of why you're there, why you're like what you're supposed to do, and why I think it's probably one of my favorite games this year is just because it's very light. The story is really weird. I love weird stories like this where it wants to get weird with what it's offering you, and it's so colorful. Like it's one of those games where if I can compare it to anything, it's those platforming sections in Doom Eternal, and those were probably my favorite bits of Doom Eternal. Where you're trying to pummel these enemies as fast as you can to get through the section, and it's so much fun. You're always trying to get the next best score. Chef's kiss is all I can do. It's the only way I can do it. It is it's such a perfect game for just speed, like sitting down for 10 minutes, completing a level, and then going back to doing what you're doing. And it's just that loop where it's just like you can take your time with it or not. You can go as fast as you can or as slow as you want and just learn the level layouts, know where the enemies are, know where all the hidden collectibles are, and then just keep moving on. And by the end of the game, like it just comes together so perfectly. The story winds and goes to this really weird place, and then you just learn like what your purpose is there and like why they're assassins in heaven. And I just can't gush enough about it. It's just such a perfect game. It makes me so happy when I talk about the White because it's doing well. It was received well, and now I'm seeing it resurface on PlayStation, so more people get to play it. And if you haven't played it, go play it because you have 2 weeks off for Christmas, and Neon White is waiting for you.
Is it on PlayStation Plus or Game Pass?
No, it's
No.
neither. But it's pretty cheap. It's like $30. I mean,
Yeah, it's not a full quote unquote full retail price type of thing. So that helps. That helps.
But it got such high replayability. Like you will spend hours playing this game and just feel it doesn't get old. It doesn't get stale. It's fresh. Even the music, like it's just like this. I don't even know. It's not like a lo-fi, but it's like really high. It's like techie music. Like you go to a club and it's like a rave. It's like rave music. I would say it's so fun. If you played Sonic Frontiers, any of the cyberspace levels, it's that same kind of music. But it's just so much fun. It's great. Go play it. And then
Neon White.
Neon White. Number 2, I know Matt's gonna like this because no one else is will. It's Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion.
Boo.
Let's
Wow.
go. Bobby's list is just makes my heart happy. It just does.
Court from the back row.
They saying boo or boo earns?
I heard Zach Fair. But Crisis Core is just a beautiful remaster / remake of a PSP game that was like 15 years ago. Square Enix is clearly trying to bridge the gap of Final Fantasy VII Remake with the story of Crisis Core because it's such an important, critical backstory that explains Cloud's role, what happened before Cloud gained the Buster Sword, and what Zack's whole, I guess, legacy is and the overall arcing story of Final Fantasy VII. So you have like the earliest moments of when he's a rookie soldier, his interactions with I don't want to say their names, but they're 2 other soldiers that are very critical to the story, and Sephiroth. And you just learn more about the world of Midgar, how Shinra runs, and you go on missions completing stupid things like picking up you pick up trash for some people and you get materia, or you like go and you fight random chocobos and tonberries, and it's great. It's a great little game. It's a PSP game, obviously, because the nature of it is you save and then you go do 3 or 4 minute missions like that literally just take. Oh guys, I'm losing it right now because
it still feels like a mobile
game. So let me get back to it. I'm losing it right now. I'm thinking about it right now. So basically, yeah, you go do these 2-3 minute missions, you get materia, you get new weapons, you get materia summons, you do all these great things that take 3 or 4 minutes, and it's one of those games where you can pick up and play and then drop it on the whim.
Yeah.
I love PSP games like that because literally, who has time to sit down and play games for more than an hour these days? I know I don't, only at night. But like it was a great game the last couple of weeks where I could just sit down, play an hour, go do something else, watch a movie, and then come pick it up on my Steam Deck because that's what I love about it. It's a portable game, remastered for 2022, and it's so critical to the Final Fantasy VII Remake that I'm really curious to find out what they're doing with it. And like I said, if you haven't played it yet, there's something wrong with you. Court. I'm just kidding, but everyone should
just
play
kidding,
it.
But not really.
It's a great remake. It's a great remake. I love the character Zack. Like he's such a goofy, lighthearted guy, and then you kind of just see his progression, see the things that he goes through, and it's a great story arc. Like you meet Aerith, you meet all these characters that you meet in Final Fantasy VII, and you kind of see how they deal with this character that you didn't really see much of in Final Fantasy VII. He was more of like a myth, a legend to Cloud, and then you just learn about who he was and what he became.
And this is after 7, right?
No, this is a prequel.
No.
This is
it's a prequel. Okay.
7 years before. I think they actually made it 7 years before. Okay. And it's just a neat little game you're done in 20 hours, and you can pretty much platinum it in a weekend if you really wanted to.
Are Mickey and Donald in it?
You don't say.
Oh, really? But not 1 hour. That's reserved for better games. That
clearly.
I wish I had more time to play, but like it's literally an hour a night now. It's like,
yeah. No, but it's cool. You're right though. Like the fact that it's
an hour as well.
It's like 3 hours. My console's on, but there's only really 1 hour I'm actually playing. Yeah. Like I'll be on Twitter. I know we all do this.
Oh, big time.
Oh, my Xbox is on beside me right now. I haven't turned it off for like 5 hours. It's just on because I just forgot.
It's like a safety net. It just makes me feel better knowing that it's there and that it's working. In case I just want to spontaneously turn around and do something with it,
My playtime on my PlayStation Wrap was like 1,000 hours. I think probably like 2/3 of that were just leaving it on. So I don't know if they count that or how they counted it, but I know for sure I definitely didn't play 1,000 hours this year. So yeah, I'm not a real gamer. That's the truth. And then my final game is going to be another RPG because I love RPGs. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the best Nintendo Switch RPG I've played in several years because the last one that really stuck out was Breath of the Wild, and that was an RPG, guys. I will fight you guys to the death on that. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, if you've not played the series, don't worry about it. It is a culmination of the past 2 games thrown into a blender, and it just spits out a brand new world. That's the best thing about this game. So you'll find familiar elements if you've never played the first 2 games in this game, and it just tells this really beautiful, like, realized story with these characters that basically fight to die. They have a 10-year lifespan. If they don't fight, basically they're zapped of their life, and your whole mission is to find out what's going on and who these otherworldly characters are. They are the ones controlling and pulling the strings, and your party of 6 is set out to find out why the world is like this, and it leads to some really, really deep, thoughtful narrative moments where you question your reality, your self-worth, and what's real and what's not real. Like, it really goes to some really dark places in this game, and it's paired with this amazing soundtrack that rivals God of War Ragnarok's.
Ooh, that's saying something.
It's one of those songs that it sticks with you. It's no filler. The side quests are great. I mean, the battle system, it's not for everyone. It's very automated. Like, you just pick your attack and you kind of just stand there. But it's worth it because the world is one of the most beautiful worlds I've seen in any video game. It's just a technical masterpiece what they've done on Nintendo Switch with this game on this hardware. It's just beautiful to look at. It's breathtaking. It is so colorful, and it's just like, you look at this and then you look at a game like Pokemon Scarlet and you're like, these are on the same system and they launched the same year, and it's a night and day difference. It's literally looking at like a Picasso versus a drawing I did. And you don't want to see like a drawing. It's like that. It's really that bad. But yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3,
I don't know what that looks like, but I can only imagine.
I didn't pass art class in high school. That's leave it at that.
Okay.
Primary colors are hard.
What's a primary color?
Couldn't tell you.
See?
Not like I passed.
Just know that it's a thing.
It's like it's the only thing is this game is a very big time sink. I think I clocked in at 175 hours.
Dang.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a long game, and I was still not done everything. There's over 200 hours of just content you can do, but it's a lot of fun. Like, that's the thing. It flows well. Like, even the side quests. Like, before, there used to be a lot of filler content. You could go and collect stupid like fish and stuff like that before, and now it's just like, okay, here's this quest. You can pick up the stuff. You can complete it on the spot, because before you have to get the stuff, bring it back to the person, let them check off your quest. Now it's like, it's very automated. It's very self-sufficient. It's a great way to streamline side quests, which I know a lot of games aren't doing these days. It's just, yeah, it's a great game. I 100% recommend it. If you've not played a Xenoblade game, this is probably the one you want to start with, because they're not connected, but they are. So it's one of those things where you won't miss out, but you'll get a little bit more out of it if you played the previous games.
Gotcha.
Love it.
All right.
Yeah.
Steve, where are all your RPGs on your list?
Find out. I'm going to start off my list with a game that I think is going to go largely under the radar for a lot of people. Not even just like in our group, but I think just in terms of like conversations of game of the year, and that's Immortality. This game just started popping up on my Twitter feed, just like randomly, like here and there, and I was like, okay, I'm hearing some good things about this, so I went immediately to my Xbox. It was on Xbox Game Pass, like day and date, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna download this. I have literally no idea what this is, other than it was made by Sam Barlow, who is famed for like FMVs. And those games in general don't really do a whole lot for me. I think, like, especially when you look back at the FMVs, like all the way in the 90s, very cheesy, very, like whatever. Like, it's not a genre I really like. But okay, so I literally had no idea, other than it was an FMV by Sam Barlow. So I was like, okay, there's going to be at least some quality to this. And for those that don't know, you're essentially thrown into this thing where you're essentially playing as yourself, and what you're essentially doing is you're going through old footage of 3 films and behind the scenes stuff from a film in the late 60s, 70s, and late 90s. And basically you're just trying to figure out what happened to Marissa Marcel, a fictional actress. And what the game incorporates is this this clipping structure where you can play through a scene, and all of a sudden you can pause, rewind, fast forward, and everything, and you'll click an object, you can click an actor's face, and that will bring you to another scene with a similar object or actor, and basically you're trying to piece together this whole story. And it's so interesting because like the game itself is largely like RNG. If I click an actor's face, it's going to take me to a very different scene than maybe Court does if he clicks that same actor in that specific scene. And the way that the narrative unravels over the course of maybe, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours, maybe even less if the RNG is like in your favor, is going to be so different for every single character. But that being said, it's interesting just based on that and just how much technique and film style and everything that goes into that. But then it incorporates this mechanic, and I don't even want to say what the mechanic is, because I had an audible and visual reaction to this where you hit a specific moment and the game does something, and I, with no hyperbole or anything, I put my controller down. I was like, holy fuck, I can't believe that they just did this.
So Steve,
Earmuffs. Everybody have earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
Yeah. I'm going to interject in this
please.
because this is also my number
Okay.
3, and I'm just going to jump
Yeah,
ahead and just
please.
say that. I literally, like, we've talked about it off and on for the last like couple of months. I'm like, I started it for like a couple hours. I didn't finish it. I want to get to this. I want to finish it. I want to get to the for Game of the Year discussion thing. And I knew, I had a feeling it was gonna be somewhere on my list, and it like shot up and pushed other ones out of the way because it's just it is a game, but it's also an experience. Like, to me, this is an experience. You're not really there. Yeah, there's the RNG. Yeah, there's the different, ways that you can get to the quote unquote ending or figure out what's going on. But that one moment, the reason why I wanted to interject right at that moment that you're talking about, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but the moment that it happened to me, I want to talk to you about this briefly, like offline. But when it happened, same thing. I'm sitting there and I was like, whoa, like I'm on my own in the basement in front of my computer, and I'm just like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah.
Well, that's what's going on. Wait, what? And it gives you an answer, like it gives you a hint about stuff, but it doesn't solve the mystery for you. Like that's like the beginning, and that's like 4 hours later that I got into it, and I'm just even more engrossed than I was before.
Right.
Just in that one moment.
Netflix now,
it's on
right?
Netflix as well, but
Yes,
I think the crucial thing is that you have to have you have to have a controller that has haptics, and that's what I think a lot of people kind of like mess up on and kind of like remove themselves like from this, what you're saying, Dave, this experience, because unless you have the haptics, I think that you're missing a prime component of this game, which is like this tactile feel when
this mechanic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard to like talk around it, but I think
I mean, I played it on PC,
Okay.
so I was doing that mechanic with the keyboard and clicking on things with the mouse, and I thought it worked totally fine.
Oh, okay.
It was perfect. I had no issue with it whatsoever. But I can understand what you mean. We're talking vaguely because it could give things away just by this mechanic, but I could see why the haptic part would.
Do you think the Xbox on Game Pass is the way to go then? Because it's similarly, it's a game I keep hearing about and I keep wanting to jump in. I just haven't had it. Like, I haven't done it yet, but like, you're selling me on this more and more because similarly, not big on FMVs. The genre for me as a whole, again, I flash back to the 90s, but I need to
Red Alert.
Yeah, exactly.
Red Alert cutscenes.
And I think what's also so special about this are the performances. I mean, Manon Gage, who was nominated for Performance of the Year, I think got snubbed. I'll say that. I think that was rightfully hers, because the game does this like meta level commentary on like the film industry, but then also incorporates her, and she's playing an actress playing 3 different roles plus herself
in 3 different time periods,
and like, it's no exaggeration, there's nearly 3 complete films in this game that you could just watch front to back, plus backstage, like behind the scenes interviews on fake talk shows, and them rehearsing scenes leading into them performing the scenes in the actual fake movies. And like, I honestly think that the game is not going to be for everyone. I think that's just inherently a fact. But I think because of its accessibility on, you were talking, Matt, it's available on Netflix, it's on Game Pass, it's on PC Game Pass. it is one of the games that you need to at least try and get more than like I would say an hour in, because even an hour in, I was like, I don't really know about this. Like it's kind of slow, but then you start, really getting into this.
Why am I watching all this stuff?
Exactly,
Like,
and it's like, oh,
it does take a little time to do that, but it takes a lot of time to do a lot of things. It's like you said, there's so much footage. Like they put so much work into this game. It is insane how much production went into this game. I know that happens with every game. I totally understand that, especially with like huge RPGs and games like God of War and stuff. I get it. The Elden Ring, all that stuff, sure. But like, this to me feels like they just went above and beyond in every single way, whether it's the aesthetic, the acting, the language, everything about it is just, it's a game, but it's honestly, it's an experience. Like it is just an experience, and it blew my mind. It seriously blew my mind. So, yeah.
No,
sorry, Steve,
please. No, I love that we can gush about this together, because I wasn't sure if like anyone else like reciprocated the same feelings. But yeah, I highly encourage people, whether they're on this panel or not, to go check it out, because it's really something else. And then my second game, I'm just gonna get it out there. It is God of War Ragnarok. To really no surprise, I think it's a fantastic game, and I think that going into exactly what makes it special at this point, because of like the recency and everything, I think it's well-trodden territory at this point. Like Sony Santa Monica hit the damn ceiling in terms of AAA game development back in 2018, and then they did it again, and that's very, very rare that a game that's already nearly a 10 can just outpace itself again, because usually you see like the Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 phenomenon, where they just take exactly what happened with the first game and make it all better. But this one, it really does feel like it's standing right alongside each other in terms of like the storytelling quality, the pacing, the moment to moment gameplay and action. I even say like the puzzles. I know a lot of people didn't really enjoy the puzzles of Ragnarok. I kind of do. I do really sometimes enjoy the unchartedness of some puzzles, where it is, oh, let's see like how a weapon can interact with the world, and how you can play around with the actual world itself, and just everything about this game I think just really blew me out of the water. But again, it all comes down to the performances, the storytelling itself. And yeah, I love Kratos and Atreus and their whole chemistry together. So I don't want to go too long in the tooth, because I mean, we also have two episodes of us going over our review and then spoiler cast. Like we have a lot of content on God of War Ragnarok.
I'm so excited to finally listen to you guys talk about it with the spoiler cast, because I removed myself from that night. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna do it. I didn't have the game at that point. Like I got it, I think a week later or something, and I finally hit credits today. So I was like, all right, great. Let's I'm gonna fire it up probably tomorrow and listen to you guys gush about all the fine details that I didn't want to spoil.
For sure.
So,
and I'm excited to hear your opinion on it too, now that you've actually got to experience it yourself.
Yeah. And Steve, numero uno.
My final one is Elden Ring. To really, no surprise again, I have to throw it out there. This game for me, coming from being a fan of From Software games, I knew I was going to enjoy this game. I didn't know I was going to obsess over this game for weeks upon weeks or even months. It was a game that was all consuming. It brought me back legitimately to the moment I put in the cartridge for Zelda Ocarina of Time back in the day, and it was all I could think about, all I wanted to talk about with friends and everything. And similarly, it brought me back to a point in time where we were on the playground and we didn't have the internet to kind of go to as like a default of like, oh, let's talk about this game, let's experience this game some other way, whether it's guides or videos and stuff like that. It's just a game that came out at the perfect time where everyone was experiencing it all at once, and we were all able to kind of just experience it without any preconceived notion of like what to do and everything. And I think similarly to Breath of the Wild, I think this game is going to shape the way that other developers make their games moving forward. Whether or not it's, you know, Ubisoft that's creating their next Immortals Phoenix Rising 2, and it's all just inspired by Elden Ring or something like that. But I think that, yeah, a lot of developers that are now looking at open world game design are going to look at this and be like, how can we make an open world that doesn't hold the player's hand every single moment, has unbridled quests that, you know, you don't need a logbook for. We'll just let you experience them organically. So if you come across a character, he'll tell you to go up to a castle across the map. Whether or not you remember to go to that castle and what to do there, that's on you. That's on you, the player, because we're going to treat you like adults that actually have played video games your entire life. And then, you know, you get to that castle and you have that epiphany moment. You're like, oh yeah, that's, this guy asked for, you know, an item here. Let me go bring it back to that guy, and just kind of see how the world evolves around you. And it's not always just, oh, here's a notification, here's a hub, here, like your screen is just overwhelmed with just needless stuff. Like Elden Ring is so bare bones in the best way possible, where it just allows you to experience a game in the most organic way that I think an open world game can be played. And I think, man, like From Software knocked it out of the park, and I'm just really hoping that we get like a meaty expansion sometime down the line, like in the near future.
Yeah, they've been killing it lately. I mean, like everything that they've been putting out. I mean, I don't play everything that they're playing, but it seems like it's a hell of an experience to play. I haven't. This is one of the games I haven't played this year, but maybe I was scared. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Or as Bobby's been saying, maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, this one you should be scared of. Like, this is one of the games where it's very intimidating. The other ones, there's something wrong with you guys if you haven't played. That's just.
I've played. Yeah. That's okay. I can accept it.
To be fair, you played Immortality, so that's fine. You kind of leveled out. So, but no, Elden Ring is not for everybody, and I am of that mind where it is not for everybody.
No,
I know there's accessibility talk around that game, but it is the creator's vision. That's what he created. I'm sure like there's a way to do it, but unless you convince the creators that that's what they want to do, like this is not for everybody. For sure. This is just literally for specific niche. Well, I shouldn't say niche anymore. It's a specific video game player.
Yeah,
certainly no
niche anymore. For the Elden Ring people, if they made it easy, so someone like myself could play it, wouldn't that cheapen the game and it wouldn't be as popular?
No,
I think it would. I think that would cheapen the game.
Well, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think
it's part of the experience, right?
Yeah,
isn't it?
The whole thing is learning to overcome the obstacles. Like you get slaughtered every so often, and you're like, okay, well, obviously I'm not ready for it. So you have to either level up or find an alternative way or call somebody in. And like that's the beauty of these games is it's learning to overcome what's in front of you, because you have to learn patterns, you have to learn to time your dodges, you have to learn to parry or block or whatever it is. It's not a game for everybody. And like I don't think that discussion should be around that. Like, I mean, I wish it was for everybody, but like that's not up to me or the player. It's up to whoever created the games and what they want to do. So that's another discussion. But
of course, I think that
wish more people. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I think it is a very nuanced discussion, but the only thing I wanted to add there was that I think for a lot of From Software games, if we're talking like Dark Souls, Bloodborne and stuff like that, I do think that the difficulty is inherently like threaded in that DNA. Elden Ring, when I look back at Elden Ring, I don't think about the difficulty. I think about the exploration. I think about the world. I think about the mythos and everything. I think that there is, to your point, I think that there is a way you can make an Elden Ring like game that is, and I say that's, broad of a statement, as accessible as possible in terms of its difficulty and its approach. But that's, again,
Elden Ring's easier.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easier than the other games because you can play with other players the way you can. Like you can call people in just to fight the bosses.
Absolutely.
Let them disappear after. So it is more accessible, but in terms of the difficulty, no, it's the DNA of FromSoft. Their games are different.
Yeah. I think that's part of what intimidates me about. Not that I haven't played their games, but that is intimidating. It is.
It's a good way to hone your skills. Like I feel like I'm a better player just because I play these games. I've learned how to time, attacks, how to block, how to dodge. And that
Well,
that plays into
I'm
like
of
all
the
of
mind. Yeah, I'm of the mind that if you can get your way through most of Elden Ring at least and like roll credits or something, you can beat Peppa Pig in 1 hour. So I think I mean, like,
That's true. That's fair.
I don't know that anyone can really do that unless they've had the Elden Ring experience.
Maybe, yeah.
Steve,
True.
what's that like?
Oh, it's a good feeling.
It's a good
feeling.
You be yeah.
Dave, what are your picks?
Yeah, okay. So my picks, we talked about Immortality. I could keep talking about it, but it's also very hard to talk about it without spoilers. My second pick, I just rolled credits today. It is God of War Ragnarok. That will be. I am doing this in 3, 2, 1. I am sort of listing these, but yeah, it's no surprise that this is on many people's lists. It's no surprise that it is one of my favorites of the year. If it was number 1, if it was number 10, it doesn't matter. Either way, I knew. I literally went out of my way to make sure that I played this game and got myself a PS5 so I could play this game. This was literally a system seller for me, and I don't know that I've ever done that before. When I got a 360 or when I got an original Xbox, like I knew Halo was coming out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get Halo with it. But I wanted an Xbox. I wanted that console regardless. I wanted a PS4. Like, it doesn't matter. I wasn't getting it for only one game.
Yeah.
This console is literally sitting here beside me, and I have Overwatch 2 and God of War on it, and that's it. And that's all I've played on this console for the last month, I think, since I've gotten it. It's a hell of an experience. Like everyone has said before me and will say after, I had mixed feelings in the first like 9 to 10 hours. I think we talked about it briefly on this show, where I was like, oh, it's kind of the same. The battle system, the fighting, it's like, oh, it's the same. It's not bad, but it's also the same. So I don't know what I expected. I didn't expect a Diablo experience or a card battler or something, but I also was looking for something from the beginning, and you get there. It just takes a long time to get there. I do think that the game story-wise is incredible, but I do also think that parts of it overstay their welcome, and that maybe is why it's 2 instead of 1. But I don't know, I'm nitpicking, really. It's a hell of an experience. The ending is excellent. I think there's like a moment at about, I would say 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through. You guys alluded to it earlier in this episode, that turns this game into, like, puts it on another level. I think it just steps up in so many different ways based on story, not gameplay wise, just the story and what happens with a couple of characters. And from then on, I was more hooked than I was in the previous 25 hours before that. And that's why I couldn't put it down for the last couple of days, is really because I hit that moment. So yeah, God of War Ragnarok, we can talk about it more in a few minutes, but that will be my second. My number 1, though, was mentioned on this episode very, very briefly. I want to say about half an hour ago or so. And it's also the very first game I played this year. It is Nobody Saves the World. That is my number 1.
Great pick.
I love this game, and I just picked up the DLC, and I cannot wait to play it. I just had a blast from the start. It is goofy. It is silly. It has mechanics that just work every single step of the way. Every single dungeon is something unique. Every single character that you can morph your abilities with and morph into are fun and funny and engaging. And I just, I love the fact that I could be this bodybuilder that has abilities from a mermaid that looks like it came out of a dumpster. Like, it's just like, just the way that they put personality into this game, I think is a big positive. I know I just finished playing and reviewing High on Life, and that is like trying to go for this hardcore comedy, profanity type of approach. Yeah. Nobody Saves the World is from Drinkbox Studios, and they've had sort of great humor and comedy and fun in their previous games, like the Guacamelee series, for example. And this just takes that on another level and expands it into like this giant map. And every little corner of it, you have something to do. You have something different to do. And you can combine dozens of abilities and characters to get those jobs done. And I sat and I played this game for like less than a week, and I crushed like 24 hours of it. It's just, I could not put it down. I just, every dungeon, I'm like, I did it. Yes. Oh, I got a new character. Oh, I got to go to the next one. Bobby, you mentioned Neon White and other games that we've talked about today, how you can sort of say, okay, I played a few minutes. I did that run. I'm going to put it down. And I'm going to come back. I could not do that with this game. I couldn't do it. I just could not do, even though there is a point where I could just say, okay, I'm going to save. I'm going to put the controller down and I'm going to come back tomorrow. Nope. It's 2:30. I got to play it till 4. Like I was that guy. Yeah, I can't recommend this game enough. I think it's going to be really fun to go back to the DLC. I just haven't got around to it till now. It's only a couple bucks, which is great. And it's on pretty much every system out there. It's even on Game Pass at this point. So Nobody Saves the World is the most fun I had in a game this year, which is one of the reasons why it's at the top of the list. So that will be my number one.
Hell yeah.
I actually like that game. Like, that's not a court game. Like, that's not a court game at all. Matt wouldn't shut up about that game. And I downloaded it on Game Pass, and I really liked it. I can't believe it. It beat the living daylights out of me eventually. Like,
it gets tough.
I couldn't, because I'm not.
It does.
It got too tough for this terrible gamer here.
Well, it is one of those things where there's dungeons and they have like level numbers on them, and it does sort of correspond with what your overall level is, but it also depends on what abilities you have and if you can combine them properly. Because like one dungeon will have an ability that, like I said, the mermaid will have a certain type of like water ability, but you don't have that character yet, or you don't have that combination yet. So you literally can't beat that, even though you may be a higher level than what that dungeon says, because you don't have that character yet. And they, okay, you know, that sort of limits you and sort of, but it also just directs the story and directs you to a different part of the map, and then you can just come back to it. And I like that.
I was also a huge fan of the art direction in that game. It looked beautiful. It was fun.
So fun.
It got to a point. I think I played like a good, for me, it's a lot in this type of game. Played a good 12 hours that game. I was like, oh, I got something out of it. Like,
that's a solid chunk. You'll get a good way into it. And it's like it stuck with me, and it was literally the first game I fired up this year, like January 3rd or something like that. Like, it's just really great. So everyone check that out. Also Toronto studio. So yay, thumbs up to that too.
Hell yeah.
Local talent, yay.
Drinkbox.
That's it, man. Okay, guys. We've gone through our personal thoughts and feels here. I don't know. How do we narrow down? How do we narrow this down? I mean, I know it's easy to say, God of War is on everybody's list, or at least is up there, or at least is something that we're definitely seriously would consider. But is there anything we may have missed that we really want to make sure we have in this discussion to be like, all right, we got to really narrow things down here? Is there any games that stand out that we may have missed?
You can take MLB The Show out of there, because I know that's just a me thing. But I would think you've got God of War, you've got Elden Ring, you've got
those are the given ones.
Right.
But like,
no one said Cult of the Lamb, which was another game that I truly enjoyed.
That's on our list. That is on our top games list. It was
we have a long list.
No, I know. But I would still think, this sounds crazy, I'm not an Elden Ring person, but Elden Ring almost was like an experience for a month on social media, and that means that game was huge. To be totally honest, I think about it, A Last of Us had a bigger experience on social media than God of War did, but Last of Us is a remake. But it did. Like, you think about it, it was more polarizing.
There was controversy,
right?
Yeah, there was more surrounding.
That's true.
It's really
But
still,
the controversy of being a remake.
It's still in the conversation. It's still there.
Oh,
it's
for
just
sure.
like it just came back into the news because the director of the TV show was like, it's the greatest video game story ever, and people cried about someone else's opinion, which is hilarious, but that's fine. The amount of people they were like, they were like naming off Persona. I'm like, wow, okay.
Well, I would never say a Persona game is better than Last of Us' story.
I know, but
it's very different. You can't compare the two.
Even getting mad at the director of someone that really enjoyed his work and was probably,
he's getting paid to hype the show up, so obviously he's gonna say,
imagine.
Fault him for doing his job is mind blowing to me.
I don't know if I'm really thinking about it.
These Karens need to chill their.
It's going to be
chill their shit.
I would think
not even their shit. Like, just calm down. Like, oh god, like, guys, it's not that serious. It's his opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we give a like way to go to Bobby for Crisis Core? We'll just give it like a little sticker. Way to go.
Crisis Core is an experience that I will live by forever.
My brother loves it. Hey, Bobby, my brother loves Final Fantasy.
And I never mentioned this.
Phenomenal.
I will not die. I will die on this. Actually, I will die on this.
Jesus.
The original voice actor is the definitive Zach Fair.
I've heard that.
That's when they no. I mean, I posted about it yesterday. Like, literally, they left a clip of the old voice actor in the game.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Did they really? They left him in?
I posted the clip. Like, he his
saw
voice, it makes no sense, but like it meant a lot to me. It's like things like that. But yeah.
So
I
audible
think-
mention Crisis Core. Now let's get to the game of the year. I would
Yeah,
think,
I think there needs to be at least a mention, whether it's everybody's cup of tea or not. And the second I say mobile game,
I know where you're going.
always
Marvel Snap.
go-
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's
Marvel
Yeah,
Snap.
Nope,
Marvel Snap
it
has to be
deserves it.
mentioned, right?
It
I think it
deserves
has
it.
to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that
deserves
it's the game of the year, but it's in a discussion.
It's a contender.
Because it is a
It's-
damn good game. It really is.
It's far better than it has any right to be. And so far, the monetization has not been egregious. We're starting to see pieces of some really expensive packs that are kind of questionable. But like the game flows, how quick each match is, how different the card varieties have, how like fundamentally different each deck that you build can be different, and how viable it can be to the overall experience. Marvel Snap is definitely came out of nowhere, and I think deserves to be talked about in this conversation just because of, I think, we saw it announced. It's like, oh, a Marvel trading card game, great. And then it came out and everybody's like, hold on, a Marvel trading card game. Here we go. And it's great. It's awesome. I can't stop playing it.
Yeah. Have you? Me and Steve talked about it about a month ago,
Yeah.
maybe a few weeks ago or something. Yeah, something like that. It was a couple weeks after it came out, and I've still put $0 into this game, and I have definitely put more hours of my life in it than I thought I ever would. I'm still enjoying it. I because I haven't put any money into it, I think I notice some of those pack combinations or character combinations in some ways. Like I can't get those yet because I haven't spent the money to put myself up that ladder yet to unlock some of them, or have the possibility of unlocking some of them. So it happens every once in a while, but that's like once every 8 matches, and just like you just said, Matt, then the game's over in a few minutes. I'm like, all right. Well, and I haven't put money into it, so I'm having fun, but I'm also not super invested. I'm just want to have a fun time with it. So
see, I'm the opposite. I never spend money on games. I'm not one to get on battle passes. Since the game came out in October, I bought every battle pass since.
No kidding.
And again, it's just because I'm a huge Marvel person, and I'm again, like, I love trading card games. So like for me, I personally find it worth it, and I enjoy it for what it is. How long that will continue remains to be seen, but right now the game still has its hooks on me.
yeah,
and I'll have to concur. Matt either talks about Marvel Snap or Steam Deck at least 5 times an episode. And you know what? I used to do that with MLB The Show, so it is what it is. When you really like something, like I talked about this with Matt when I was really playing MLB The Show. It's got gotcha mechanics, but you don't need to do them. But every now and then I was like, oh, there's a sale going on. I said to Matt, I'm like, I'm gonna buy like 50 packs and see what happens. Like, see what I pull. If you really like the game, it's a free to play game. Like, we're always the mindset. You know what? It's okay to spend money on it if you want to.
right?
It's okay. It's like
Yep.
it's like when we look at something in the app store, we're like, ooh, it's 99 cents. Ooh, I don't know if I can
Oh, that's
do that.
me
You're like,
all the time.
think about
all
it.
the time.
But we live in Canada and a game is $103.99.
Yeah,
to
seriously.
buy.
Yeah, I know. That's a
Like right
oh,
now,
boy.
I'm debating, and I haven't played Diablo 2 Resurrection. And when you guys were
Mm.
mentioning Diablo, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's on sale. It's not on sale on the PlayStation, but it is $20 in the Xbox store right now.
That's a
Oh,
steal.
that's not bad.
Well,
I-
it is. I think
I
it
think
is
I might-
cross progression.
It is, yeah.
So you can play with your friend.
So I'm
Nice.
thinking, well, but so my mindset is here, and this is me being a parent and having to count my pennies. Will it just be on Game Pass next year at this time, anyways?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe.
Who knows?
Like, am I actually going to play it? Because I'm going to go from I'm playing Death Stranding, which I don't know how long it is, to The Witcher, which I know how long it is, and then by then Dead Space. See what I'm doing there?
Yeah. That's
rolling
my
into
thing
one
too with
another.
these games. Like Neon White, for example. It's like, sounds great. Elden Ring sounds great. Do I have time? No.
No.
Witcher
Neon White
3.
is short though. You can do it. You could do
Okay.
Neon White. It's
No,
not long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna ask Elden Ring or God of War. There's 5 of us here. There's gonna be a winner.
Sure.
The issue with me personally is I have not played Elden Ring, so I can't.
Neither have I. So don't worry.
yeah.
That's 2 for God of War.
I
Okay.
think I think the thing about Elden Ring that I think Steve really nailed it when he was talking about it. I feel like it sucked all the air out of the
did.
room for the month that it came out.
Sure.
And every single time that we've seen a little glimmer of some sort of new content, again, that's all you see talked about on social media. I'm not a FromSoft guy. I beat Demon Souls because it was a bet and I had to. And my best friend ended up playing all of Persona 5, so I feel like I won that one. But I jumped into Elden Ring and I got pretty far in. I got to the capital city.
Oh, wow.
And for me, as someone who does not spend time with these games, I really enjoyed it. I see what the game is going for, and even though it's not for everyone, and like we mentioned, the larger discussion about accessibility aside, and I'm not even just talking about difficulty. I'm just talking about being able to play the game fundamentally in a way that makes sense for whoever you are. I do think that there's just something there that I feel like you can appreciate even from a distance. And God of War Ragnarok is incredible and personally higher on my list, but I have a hard time arguing that Elden Ring doesn't. I have a hard time arguing that Elden Ring doesn't deserve the kind of top spot for the year because of how much it's lived in kind of the gaming sphere since it came out. Recency bias is a thing. There are other games that got swallowed up around it. The fact that this game continues to be relevant, talked about, and celebrated, with so many people being like, I want more now, please give me more. It's impressive. It is, even from someone who's not big into these games.
But we also live in a bubble, and we hear what we're hearing and we see what we see. And it, once again, you said it like twice, not everyone can play this game.
Sure.
And for me, that's a huge issue when calling something game of the year. Anybody else can, we all have our own opinion, so it doesn't really matter here. We're all going to choose. But for me, if not everyone can play it, or it's not even a little bit accessible for everyone to play, then it's a no for me. It just, we live in this little thing, and I go out, and most of my friends don't play a lot of games. And when I mention Elden Ring, they're like, no, but they played God of War.
Fair enough. I think that's
they
valid.
They just know what God of War is, that too. But
for me, what we see on the internet, we're seeing our friends. We know, like, the bad bits of the world never stop talking about these type of games. But that's what we see. It doesn't. This is just me counterpointing to use that as an example of a reason why it's tough for me, because once again, I'm of the age now where I just don't have time for a game that's going to beat the living daylights out of me. I'm enjoying Death Stranding because the story is phenomenal. Sure. It's so good, and that's what I'm liking about it. But for Elden Ring, my brother, who is not he's older than me, but he really likes those type of games. He was like, don't even touch it. He's like,
fair.
The story is just not good enough.
Sure.
He's
so
like,
that
the reason
was
this game is popular is because it is punishing. Yeah. And that's why I asked that question earlier. I said, if you took out the difficulty, I don't think this game is talked about. You make this game easy, and it's just another game. I don't think it's as big as we all talk about it. I don't.
See, I would counter that personally. You talked about.
I've never played it. I appreciate it.
I agree with Steve.
Only because like you talked about, us living in being in a bubble and hearing about like the conversations percolate on social media and everything. I would argue that Elden Ring actually broke the bubble, and it became, blew apart that a lot of other people who don't have any business wanting to play a From Software game wanted to play Elden Ring. I had like my best friend who is that quote unquote gamer who has like an Xbox just for Call of Duty and NHL every year. That's basically all he'll play, and maybe like a couple like Game Pass games. He hit me up and he's like, do I need to play Elden Ring? Because that's all I see now, like across like social media, TikTok and everything. I was like, well, as a cultural phenomenon, yes, but knowing you, don't play it, because again, to your point, Court, like it's not for everyone. But I do agree. I have to argue that I think that Elden Ring's impact on not only just us, like the hardcore.
Argue. That's rude. You can just disagree.
I'm going to argue that it's not only.
And you're going to like it.
Yeah,
arguing, you're going to like it.
It's not only just us, who
I will debate you right
critique the industry, but I think that it has like a major impact on just video games in general, and anyone that has a console is thinking about Elden Ring right now.
Yep. I think. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
No, I was this might derail the conversation. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is that I think even if you strip the difficulty out of it, I think what Elden Ring does and the way that it handles exploration and the way that it handles world design and the way that it handles, like Steve kind of mentioned, the story for me is not is a miss for me. It's not something that like really grabbed me, but the way that it grabs you and pulls you into its world, and I think that's the fundamental difference there. Like you can, and like slight spoilers for anybody who's going to play Elden Ring, but like you go down this like this tunnel and you end up in what you would think is a large underground cavern, and all you see is like this galaxy above. There are these moments that even come from the exploration, from the adventuring, from the like the genuine adventure that you get out of this game, that I feel like when I think about a game that moved the industry forward just a little bit this year, regardless of what else was around it, I feel like Elden Ring is essentially what like the grown-up Breath of the Wild. I think it did something fundamentally different, and even taking out the difficulty, because the only reason we're having a conversation about difficulty is because it's FromSoft. If it was another developer who did the same thing, the difficulty wouldn't be as fundamental part of the discussion. It's because of what came before. The studio did something genuinely interesting and genuinely moved their own kind of niche genre within that forward. But I also think that they kind of gave the rest of the industry a bit of building blocks. So being like, you can trust the player a little bit. You can have an adventure in this space. And whether the difficulty is there or not, I don't think it takes away from what that game achieves. And again, this is coming from someone who, it's not in my top 5, but I can respect it for what it is as a whole.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing, just like Court, again, haven't played it, so it's, can't experience it, but it's just the story part of it is what is my question, not my argument. I'm not going to argue, Court. Don't worry. I'm not going to argue with anybody. My question about it is
nice.
like,
Everybody be nice.
Everyone just be nice. It's okay. It's December and we're all just fucking tired. Just be nice.
I'm honestly exhausted.
Yeah, seriously.
We're all Grinches right now, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's okay.
Just be okay. Just be Grinch.
The story in something like God of War, as I think the other side of the argument is just, it really is on another level. I think, especially the fact that they hold it so well, I think there was a little bit of like up and down pacing, but even those low points, quote unquote low points in the pacing, pay off like 10 hours later or something. You see why they did that, and there's meaning to it. Whereas it sounds like with Elden Ring, Matt, I think you just said it, the story's passable. And like, I understand that the playing of the game can be a heck of an experience. The discovery can be a heck of an experience. Just like me and Steve were saying at like with Immortality, like it's an experience playing that game. Not for everybody, not going to work for everyone and all that kind of stuff. But like, I don't know, story to me is what's driving a lot of my feeling when it comes to these games nowadays. So I don't, that's just my 2 cents without also experiencing Elden Ring. So it's hard for me to say.
Fair enough.
There's definitely more story in Elden Ring than any FromSoft game before. Like there are people who talk to you and like tell you what's going on and what to do and where to go. So yeah, this is probably like it's most accessible in the narrative sense.
Okay.
So there is.
I don't know where we want to put our hands up. Then I don't know what we want to do if there is a consensus.
Like, we're all split, and like
yeah,
I mean, it's hard to say. Like I love both games equally.
Well, let's just put it to a vote. Let's just put hands up. Okay, God of War. God of War. Hands up for God of War. Court. Dave.
I have to.
Bobby.
God of War. I have to.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
I think that's very valid. I'm not upset.
No,
with that.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I'm with you entirely. I
think games. Like, there's no real loser, right? But like,
yeah, no, really.
Christopher Judge is what sold it for me. Like his performance was what I think stood out. It was unreal, exactly.
Incredible.
And I obviously haven't played Immortality, but like, they're different things. Like this one's conveying like a father and son, right? Like I love that relationship. Like you've seen. The problem is with Immortality, like it's one little experience. Like it's however long it is. What is it, like 20 hours?
No, it's under that. I would.
If
say.
you max it out, 20 hours.
Even still. Okay, Kratos, we've had 20 years of growth, so like I'm more partial to him. I mean, we saw what he did in Greece.
Yep.
we saw the mess he made, and then we saw him as a broken man become this all father. He becomes the all father of the Norse realm, and like he's this new hero, and it's like he can't be redeemed for what he did in the past, but like he's trying to atone for what he did the best he can. And like I love that. Like it's a full circle. Like you see
Yeah.
it, you see where he was, you see all these different sides of him, and like it's progress, and progress is a big thing for me. Like that's what I think was the trump for me, is there's years to look back on. Like you can look back and see where his character arc went.
Yeah, and I think
Well
there's a
said.
lot of, I think Court, you mentioned it probably at the beginning here, where it's like there's all these surrounding characters that they did such a good job with. I think that makes a big difference. Like,
Yeah.
like Sindri, this should be Sindri's game. Like to
True.
me,
Yeah,
that,
the
like
whole
he's just
arc of Sindri,
Brock's-
like, that is one of my favorite
and Brock,
things. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
right. Like those guys, like the second they showed up, like pretty much right at the beginning, I was like, yes, they're back. Because I don't know what was going to happen, and then it's just what they do with them is just incredible. I absolutely love it. So like all that stuff, I think adds a
Everything's
big
incredible
bonus.
in
So
the game, and then they
Yeah.
introduce new things, and like they take you to these new places, and it just
Yep.
it does everything so perfectly.
yep,
But
yep,
yeah,
for sure.
and then now that it's been like what, a month and a half since it's been out, I mean, we've seen, now we can start looking at things that were wrong with it, because now we've had the time to
You
sit
can,
on
you
it
can,
and like look on
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
And like
Yeah,
I'm
you
starting to
just analyze it in a different way.
now I
think
can
is
see the
part of
things
what
that
it is.
I missed the first time. Like there are
Sure.
pacing issues. There are some things that don't line up with, I guess, the story arc. I mean, I think they should have done 3 games. I know they didn't want to, but I mean, they could have pushed it to 3 or do like 2
Oh,
and a
yeah.
half, do like an
I
expansion.
still say we're gonna get that standalone expansion from this.
I hope so.
Who knows?
that'd be great.
I really,
the
and
ending
I'll be
before
honest
the
with you guys.
credits. The ending
Yeah,
before the
I
credits.
don't want to
left
play as
the-
Atreus. I don't want to play a full game as Atreus.
I think
Like,
that's what we're getting.
I don't want that. It's not God of
Neither do
War.
I.
God of War is Kratos.
Neither do I.
It's like I for sure. Good. I just want to be on the same page. I like what they did with Atreus, but this is Kratos' game. This is his art. This is his franchise. I
Yeah,
want more
I- I'm-
Kratos.
remember
I
the
want to
last-
see him evolve. I want to see him go to new lands, or on a whim,
But
take
I
him
think
back to
that's
Greece
what we're
and see
getting.
what's
We're
happening
going
in
to get a
Greece.
Lost Legacy. We're getting.
I would love to
Legacy
see a
type thing.
Greece. I would like to see a Greece chapter. What happened after he left? Like it's been
That'd be
like
cool.
200 years. It's
That
been
could
like
work.
200-300 years, right? So like he has obviously been gone for a while. So like bring him back, see what happens. There
Throw a
are
party
different
for him when he
gods. Like,
comes
there
back.
are gods they missed out, or take them to Rome. Like there are the Roman versions of the Greek gods. Like
Yeah,
you have like
yeah.
Jupiter, and Saturn.
Egypt.
Egypt.
I want
Egypt
Egypt.
would be cool, but like at the same time, what's he gonna do? It's gonna be the same thing. Like push it
What
somewhere
about
else.
Sure.
what about God of War in space? Isn't that what everything does when it eventually?
I would play that more first before Bioshock in space.
Well said. Well said.
Game of
So
the year.
honorable mentions, everybody. So honorable mentions: Immortality and Nobody Saves the World are the honorable mentions.
Yeah, I think. Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, someone's got a
Nice
hammer.
pen.
Nice.
Is the pen mightier than the hammer?
Then the hammer, yeah.
You know
yeah.
it.
So we
Talk about, like,
gotta crown
TMNT.
it. What's that?
We even talk about TMNT, Shredded Revenge. Like there are a
I know
lot of
Shredder's Revenge. Like there's tons of stuff.
Pentiment. Like Pentiment is a good runner up.
Nope,
I know
please,
that's not for
please,
everybody.
Nope.
Pentiment, great. Real
Nope.
good.
That was the first
Not
game
my editor's
ever-
choice. Like, I
ever
thought it was such
was
a
like,
great
I
game.
don't
It
wanna
came out of
finish it.
nowhere. Stifu,
Vampire Survivors we didn't mention. Like there's tons.
Way better.
There are a
Vampire
lot of
Survivors
games.
destroys Pentiment.
Yeah, there's-
Signalis, which is a
That's
great
been
little
Signalis
horror
was,
game.
good, was great. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Exactly.
There's this, our
there's-
list is pretty comprehensive. I mean, everyone, if you're listening, conferencecreatures.com, we have our top games of 2022. Game of the year is coming shortly.
Yes.
Well,
we also
also-
have that on there too. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, no, I just also want to, from the list, I just really need to shout out Sifu and Trails from Zero, 2 of my favorites from this year as well. Heck yeah.
Trails from Zero is a
nice.
good game. It's very traditional JRPG. It's not for everybody.
Nope.
So if you guys
also,
can't tell,
one really
Yeah.
quick one that no one ever talks about. No one has talked about this game all year. Hard Space Shipbreaker
you
is
don't know what that is.
awesome.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is
you
so
mentioned
chill.
it several times, and I have it. I just haven't played it.
It's on Game Pass. It's such a chill game. It's like basically a puzzle game in space where you take apart ships.
Puzzle
That's
game
it.
space.
Okay.
it's in space, so it's got to be good, right?
Prequel to Judas, I hear.
It's good. It's true.
Okay.
Really sus.
Is it-
It's sus.
Honestly,
Some sus
when
stuff.
we
We didn't
review
even talk about Rogue
Judas,
Legacy 2. Like there are so
Rogue
many games
Legacy 2 is incredible. Yeah,
can I come
it's
back
just
for
like
the review of Judas? Because you know it's going to be good. And me and Steve
of
are just going to be
course.
like, "Hey, Bobby,
Of course.
so this is a good game, eh? It's a good
Yeah.
game, Bobby."
what game are we talking about?
Judas.
Judas. We're all coming back to talk about Judas on one large podcast again.
We'll be here.
It's like the pecan pie of Bioshock. I don't.
I feel like it's just gonna be me, Steve, and Dave sitting here with like popcorn while
Yeah,
Court
right.
and Bobby argue. Like I feel like that's just gonna be like we're gonna be like the ASMR
Wait,
portion,
hold on.
and they're just gonna be like, well, actually,
we gotta make sure we keep the mics on while we're eating, too.
I never argue. I even say that people's points are good. I also just like stirring the pot sometimes. It's just fun.
I also too like playing FIFA, which is better than MLB.
Oh man,
What are we even talking about now? We are so off the rails.
European Handball 2023.
Cricket 25. Woo!
Yeah!
Can't wait.
Cricket 25. I'm down.
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's a game. I have no idea.
It probably
okay,
is.
so
Cricket.
let's all go enjoy the pies, the crisps, and the crumbles
The holidays.
that we're gonna have over the
Holidays.
next
Sleeping.
over
yes,
the
happy
holidays.
yeah.
And Court and Matt, thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for
thanks for
joining
having
us through our
Yeah, thank you.
narrowing down which pie and is the best out there. I
Wait,
really
did we
appreciate it.
decide? We never decided, did we?
Oh, God
Okay,
of
so
War.
everybody
Or
say their
the
favorite
pie.
thing.
No, pie.
God of War
Pie.
pie.
I'm talking about the
God of War pie.
That's another
I
podcast.
Ragnar pie.
My favorite's pumpkin. Pumpkin for sure.
My man.
Pumpkin?
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin's the
I'm
best.
in
Pumpkin's a seasonal pie. Apple
No,
pie
it's
is
not.
year round.
Yeah, I
You can eat
disagree. As
apple
we live
pie
in Canada,
any
we
time
get
of
it
the
so.
year.
No, I disagree. I say apple's the most overrated because so many people get the regular apple pie. If you get a crisp or a crumble, sure, but
It's
if you just
better.
get the straight up apple pie, don't even bring it in my
Yeah.
house. Don't bring it
Fair.
in my house.
But
Don't
thanks for
leave
having
it
us.
outside.
It was awesome being here.
Hurtful
Thanks, Matt.
talk.
Had a blast.
Everybody.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the new year. Bye. Yep.